Welcome, good evening, and welcome to the Red Zone. And we're sorry, I need to apologize first. We're 15 minutes late. We are, punctual sort of people, so we don't like being
Summer.
late. But we've got a good excuse today. And I was doing 90 miles an hour. Might have about 6 points on my license at the moment, but it's 1 point that Liverpool have picked up, and until it was 2-0 or even 2-1, it could have been really well. I thought, anyway, it could be really, really embarrassing here. But I thought I'm witnessing an iconic moment at Anfield. Maybe not for Liverpool, but maybe for an Arsenal side. Because all the talk this week has been, can they turn up to Anfield and produce a champions performance? And for 30 minutes, guys, I thought I'm seeing the champions elect. But that is the sort of difference between, I know they haven't fallen short, but they showed some signs today. Maybe at 2-0, their players started seeing the finishing line. Maybe not for the season. But I think, as far as I know, their fans, for the first time this season, Gene, started singing, "We're going to win the league." And now
I heard them.
Where have we heard that one before? Where have we heard that one? Well, you need to make sure when you're 2-0 up, you need to get out of that ground over the line. And today they didn't.
Yeah. Look, big up everyone for joining first and foremost. And yeah, look, you know what? It was weird. It was a weird one hearing them sing that, Asim, because you mentioned it. And the funny thing was, when I was hearing them sing it, the first thing that cropped into my head is the day when we sang it at United. The first time we sang it, it was a weird feeling hearing them guys sing it, because it was like flip's sake, man. If it was only us guys. But look, Asim, from their perspective, turning up to the game, 2-0 up at Anfield for the first time, I thought they were brilliant for the first half an hour, and then to basically bottle it to an extent, to give the two. I genuinely believe that, though. I know you've been the who there, but I believe when you go to a title winning, it's not just about the draw. They got very, very lucky with the amount of chances that we created and the saves that Ramsdale pulled off today. So for me, it's not just about them dropping the points. It's the manner of which we should have won the game, minimum 4-2, maybe 4-3 if they were lucky to score the goal at the end. But we had ample chances to score at least 2 more.
Avi, Sully's in the house. He's a regular Arsenal fan. He's always interested to see what he's been really interested to see what Liverpool fans have got to, sort of talk about their chances against the Arsenal side. But look, this Arsenal side, if it goes on to win the league, it's a brilliant side. For 30 minutes, I thought they were absolutely brilliant. And we'll come on to what sort of problems they, gave us for the first 20, 30 minutes. Where he says celebrating draws at home, how the mighty have fallen. And I think, look, nobody here is celebrating a draw, as far as I know. We have to make sure is where and sort of accept where the team is at the moment. And today we showed heart, we showed fight, we showed, we can go and fight, amongst the trenches. And we showed passion. All these words have not been mentioned for the last 2-3 weeks, especially since the United game, Avi.
Probably throughout the season, Asim. And look, we don't certainly, especially under Klopp's tenure in the last 3-4 years, celebrate draws. But today, it wasn't even celebrating a draw. It was celebrating those players' second half, fighting for this club, fighting for that badge, fighting for their fans, fighting for Jurgen Klopp. Now, there's been a lot of talk in previous weeks. The man downstairs, down here, Gene, who's mentioned that have the players lost faith in Klopp? Have they stopped playing for him? Today, we saw anything but in the second half. They were there, like you said, Asim, in the trenches, like warriors, like going through the motions. We got that goal just before half time, and then second half, we should have beaten them. We can say, Salah's missed, but we had plenty of other chances to put the game away. Nunes one-on-one will come to the game. I know you two were at the stadium, so you lot would have seen it differently to how I was seeing it, but it sounded electric from the TV. And my TV wasn't even at full volume today because, at 8:30 in the morning, I don't want to wake up the neighbors. I can't imagine how it must have felt like after that first one goes in, when it goes 2-1, how it must have felt like in the stadium. But that was the reaction that we were looking for. I don't care whether it's put a dent in Arsenal's title race or City's or whoever it's helped. I tweeted yesterday, I didn't care who wins the league. We've got to do our business, whether that's top 4 or not. I want something I want something that this team can give us for the next 10 games. Win a few games at least. Show us something that, yeah, you know what? We will be back next season. This is a blip, a major one, you could call it, but with the right recruitment, with a little bit of tweaking in the way Klopp sets up, we can get back on this pedestal. We can get back on that hype train and challenge City and Arsenal next season.
Gene, look, let's rewind a touch, because let's break the game down in a more of a structured way. And just first for the lineup, were you happy with it? I was slightly surprised seeing Curtis Jones in the lineup, if I'm really, really honest. And I thought he wasn't really, really bad, but especially for the first half, we were struggling to sort of create some patterns of play, and they pressed him really, really well. How many times have we seen Curtis Jones hog the ball? And for me, I was really getting really frustrated with him, because we had to move the ball. And it was not just me getting frustrated. I was behind the two benches, and Klopp sort of was waving his arm many, many times. He wanted the young kid to go forward, and we kept on going back. And they found it really, really easy to squeeze us. But just generally, I'm not here picking out Curtis Jones. A few of the players, started really, really badly. But just generally with the lineup, were you happy with that sort of setup today? And sort of what Jurgen Klopp today did with a few little, subtle tweaks in the setup?
Look, I looked at, obviously, when me and you had a chat before the game, I think you put that video out where, I mentioned that, I would have liked Thiago to have started the game. Be it, I know it's come a bit, slightly sooner. But yeah, look, to be fair, who else really could he have played in that sort of position? I wanted Thiago to start before the game. And yeah, you mentioned Jones. I thought, I thought Jones was poor in the first half, but before he came on, he actually played well. And now he's got that doing that face sort of thing here to go. But I'm actually going to side with him a bit. I thought he played well in the second half.
Jones was, even first half, he was okay.
He was okay. I didn't think he was. I thought he dwelled on the ball a little bit. But second half, on the our left hand side, we were especially in the first 20 when he was actually on the pitch. That was where we were causing them a lot of issues. We were doubling up on that side, and there's a few times that we actually got in close to the byline. In terms of the little tweaks, I think everybody saw there wasn't. We call it a little tweak, but Trent played in the inverted fullback. Yeah, it took us a bit of getting used to at the start. I thought we were struggling because let's face the music. Trent coming in, there was Fabinho and Hendo. They're not really technically good enough to receive the ball. Arsenal pressed us high up. They realised, and they realised pretty quickly Trent was inverted. So they pressed us pretty high, and we were always going back. And the out ball was always there, though. There was a couple of times where we did play the out ball to Salah, and we did get onto their back three. But with all due respect, when you play in that sort of position, you've got to have players that are comfortable on the ball, that are happy, that happily receive the ball under some sort of pressure. But to see Trent in that position, I was happy to see it. Don't get me wrong. I'm really happy to see him come out there. And with Konate slightly wider, as our centre back slightly towards the right side, it's okay because he's good enough. Konate is good enough to cover that space when Trent comes in. But all in all, I looked at the lineup. Maybe the only difference is Thiago for Jones, but that's about it.
I mean, look, sticking with this setup, you can touch on Curtis Jones because you're his defence lawyer, as we know. But look, coming to Jurgen Klopp, for the last couple of weeks, and he's been accused of being reactionary rather than being proactive. And today was another sort of moment for him to sort of come out with something tactically. And I thought, what? He was brave today. And how do you deal with Arsenal, with that setup of Zinchenko coming to midfield? We went and matched it up with Trent in midfield. And just what Gene has said, it allowed Konate practically playing as a right back, not just covering Trent, but being 5-10 yards wider. And you know what? Especially how many times have we been crying out for that sort of setup where Robbo was a lot deeper in the build-up. And this allowed us to spread the three centre-backs across the pitch and gave Konate the sort of ability to go one-on-one with Martinelli. And how many duels did Ibu win against Martinelli today with Henderson covering on that side? We have to give credit to the manager today that we got things right. And yes, like Gene touched on, it took us about 20 to 25 minutes to get used to things. We played front foot football, and it's been a while since I saw heavy metal at Anfield or any other midfield. Man United 7-0, it wasn't heavy metal for me. It was good, but today, the way they galvanized the fans, it was a joy to watch.
Certainly, and the first 28 minutes, it seemed as if it was going to go horribly wrong because we just looked disorganized. We didn't look. We were losing our shape. Martinelli was getting that freedom yet again, away from Trent, time and time again, and obviously, he pulls off for that first goal, through the middle and gets that little tap in. I thought it was a deflection, but it wasn't. Replay showed, and the second goal, he gets that crossing, and but something seemed to click Asim, and it clicked just on that stroke of the goal, on our side when Jones, little black flip. And I thought Jones was tidy. Again, I tweeted yesterday, I want him to be a bit daring now, a bit inventive. He had his little bedding game for Chelsea, but listen, you're fighting for your career. Show us something. Show us that, you want to be part of this Liverpool team. I know he's had his injuries, right? And yes, all the critics, rightly so, have said he needs to go. He's not good enough. If we get a good offer for him, sell him. Listen, I am starting to go on that bandwagon, but today he showed that he can play. I was a little bit disappointed when he got taken off, but we'll come on to that. But yeah, the first 28, 30 minutes, we didn't look as if it was as if Klopp had said, look, today, just before kickoff, we're going to try this today. We are going to play Trent a little bit inverted so that he could play in almost like a pivot position alongside Fabinho.
He was a double six, Avi.
Yeah. And Hendo was a little bit, advanced than Trent and Fabinho. But boy, once that goal went in, once Salah, a little bit of misfortune. Hendo gets that little deflection, Salah scores, then we're there with the ascendancy. We just piled on. We didn't want the half to finish. You know how they say it's a cliche thing to say, oh, you don't want the half to finish. Let the game just flow. But second half, we come out again with the traps. Trent is spraying balls 30, 40 yards. He's driving with the ball. He's passionate. That Xhaka incident, that was a catalyst.
I mean, you know what it reminded me of? The Arteta
last season. Yeah, and sometimes you need that in this kind of game. We needed that. We've needed a reaction from the fans, and the players have needed a reaction as well. And Xhaka provided that. It's no surprise that he does like to rile the opposition up. He is a bit of a wind-up merchant. But the last thing you want to do is wind up a fellow Scouser, a local Scouser, because the fans are going to get on they're going to start supporting, they're going to start shouting and screaming, and they're going to get behind this team. And boy, did they get behind this team.
Gene, look, what we touched on regarding that incident last year where Arteta riled up the fans, and this year it was Xhaka's turn. And you know what the irony was? When I was, as you know, I was sat behind the Arsenal bench, and Arteta just turned around and shook his head. He couldn't believe what he was doing. And maybe this was the instruction to the Arsenal team. Look, just play your football. And you know what? From that moment, they made it a fight. Because for sort of 0 minutes to 30 minutes, Liverpool showed too much respect. They were chasing shadows, too many triangles on the sides. And there was ample space for the Arsenal midfield around Fabinho, because we were getting dragged from side to side. I thought, Henderson was playing like a right-sided midfielder today, and Jones was coming to the left to sort of attract their two sixes. But I thought the moment where Xhaka, I couldn't really see, and I'm not seeing any highlights or any footage on Twitter, but from that moment, Liverpool made it a fight, and it really, really suited us.
Oh, 100%. The minute Asim that Xhaka did, I was actually sat in the cup, I could see exactly what happened. You could just tell from the fans, they wanted that moment to be the kickstart of the actual game, because they realized they have to get behind our back. And he gave us the perfect reason to get on his back and start really basically getting onto it, start supporting the side and getting after them. After that moment, what we saw Asim was like, it was chaotic football where we wanted to create chaos. And that's the Liverpool that we're used to. We love playing full throttle football. That second half performance today, and I know you're going to go into it in a lot deeper, but generally speaking, that second half performance was unbelievable. It's been a long time I've seen Liverpool camp, let's say a top six side in their half. It was basically a wave after a wave of attacks. We didn't let them breathe. And that's the Liverpool that we're used to. That's what we've been used to for the last 4 or 5 years. We don't let teams breathe. We suffocate them. And it felt like for the first time we said, you know what, we're just going to get after these. And to be fair, they couldn't hack it. They couldn't handle it. They might have got a couple of... there is risk involved, but we've known that. And there are times that a side like Arsenal will get in. But it was brilliant to watch us just camp in our half and in their half and say, you know what, guys, wave after wave. Let's get at these, and that's what they did.
And I mean, how
just a quick one on that as well. That Xhaka thing was so pivotal, and you've got to believe that Arteta was telling these players all week, don't give these fucking fans an inch. Yeah. Don't give them an inch. You give them an inch, you give them something to shout and scream about, they will get on our backs. And these are very inexperienced Arsenal team. You know, truth be told, this Arsenal team they're a little bit ahead of the curve because they shouldn't be in a title race as quick as they have come from, especially from last season, the season before under Arteta. So they are ahead of the curve right now. But he would have gone into this game and said, listen, last season, that was me. Yeah. I gave these fans what they wanted, and that was it, right? This season, and he's vice captain as well, Xhaka. You got to remember that. This season at Anfield, you've got to remain very, very calm, resolute, and don't succumb to pressure. As soon as that Trent thing happened, that was it. You know, we got into another gear, and so did the fans.
But I mean, what do you put it down to? You know, because we've not seen Liverpool. I know Liverpool have got a decent record. I know Shai didn't like our record because he broke it down game by game against the big sides of the big top six. But generally speaking, in a really bad season,
hold my hands up. It is Ramadan for you boys. I will not swear. I will watch my language. I apologize for that.
In a really bad season, we've got a decent record. You know, all things considered, against the top six. What do you put it down to in terms of Liverpool having sustained attacks against, you know, I think the best side in the league? Or do you just put it down to the Arsenal saw the finishing line and thought, you know what, let's just park a bus and get out of here with 3 points somehow? But they didn't realize there's still 70 minutes to go.
Is that for me? I'll take it.
Yeah.
No, I think Arsenal were in unfamiliar territory at Anfield, Asim. I can't remember the last time where they had a 2-0 lead at Anfield or any big round, even at the Etihad or this season where they've had a 2-0 lead and they've sort of like said, okay, what do we do now? They did try to push, but I just think, and like we've said, this will show the mettle that Arteta has in his Arsenal team and the mettle that Arsenal will show in the next 9 to 10 games. Like, what do you do? You know, what do we do? I think there was a sense of panic, which is surprising, and it will probably be like shocking to hear that at 2-0 up, how can an Arsenal team, top of the league, got a good 6-point lead over City if they'd gone through with today's result? Like, why are we, or a 7-point lead, why are we all of a sudden like worried the way we're playing? It's just inexperience. It could be just the youthful team that Arsenal have. You know, you got to remember they've got a lot of young players, Odegaard, Martinelli. They've not been here before. Even the experienced players like Partey has been in a title charge with Atletico Madrid, but Xhaka, Holding, they were missing Saliba, you could say. Ramsdale has only been involved in relegation fights. They've not been on the end of the top of the league sort of, title race where the pressure game in, game out when you've got City is psychological too. It's psychological. You're thinking of so many variables in your head that today, and especially at Anfield, as soon as you give us, like I said, an inch, a little glimpse of hope, then it's very hard to overturn that.
Gene, what do you put it down to? Do you see this? And it's very, very important for Arsenal to get over the line here because they've got a young and dynamic side for the next, I think, if they're bringing 2-3 players, they're sorted for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years. That's how good and young this and vibrant this, sort of team is, led by an excellent coach. But this season now has become very, very important for them because they don't want how many times have Liverpool, sort of missed out after getting 97 points and how many points in previous seasons. But they don't want to be seen as this side as like a flash in the pan, if you like. If they get over the line this season, they could really consolidate to have been a really, really great side in the Premier League.
Yeah, the irony is this Arsenal side. I genuinely believe they just didn't know what to do when they went 2-0 up. They couldn't believe their eyes. They're at Anfield.
They bought Jesus and Zinchenko for games like this.
But
Anfield is a different kettle of fish.
Let me tell you, and you two may agree, you may disagree. If you look at the subs that they made, Trossard, Jakub Koywer, and Keenan Tierney, right? Tierney's won a few league titles at Celtic, but still young players. Trossard has been in Brighton, a team that previously has struggled. right? Few years back, and I know last season under Potter they did well, but no one there for the experience to usher out the last 15 minutes. If they had a Thiago today, who came on the 75th minute prior to the 2-1, or the 80th minute, give him 10 minutes, they would have seen off that game. But they didn't have someone experienced to come on, who's been there, who's done that. And how many times have we said it in the past? We need, we've got it. We're lucky that we have had it. But even in previous seasons, previous years under Rafa's tenureship, when we were trying to go for that target in 08-09, we never had a player that could come in, mid-30s or early 30s, who's seen it all before, who has seen the pressures, just to calm down the atmosphere, just to, break it up, like a James Milner, draw a couple of fouls here and there, draw a few yellows. They didn't have that.
Avi, they don't have that, but believe you me, it's very, very difficult to turn up to Anfield, regardless of who the player is. For me personally, it can be any player in world football that can come up to Anfield. And when the way that we played today in that second half, it was the old Liverpool, Asim. And it was no side with any player. Nobody was stopping us the way we played in that second half. We should have battered them. They've walked out of Anfield today. No, I mean, I battered them in terms of scoreline, Asim. They were very, very lucky to walk out of this game with a draw, because we should have won at least. Kanate, Salah chance, Salah penalty miss. Nunes. These are all second half chances. Nunes chance. That's 4 clear cut openings. Yeah, so we battered them. I don't believe in terms of what they could have done, because the way we turned up, Asim, it doesn't matter who we were up against today. They were going to get it in that second half. Yes, a lack of experience goes against them. They've not been in this environment before. They've gone 2-0 up. They don't really know what to do, sort of thing. I get all that, but personally, regardless, I just think any player, anyone, they turned up the way we played against us in that second half, they were going to get turned over today.
And
give us some credit today, man. Give Liverpool some credit, because we were unbelievable in that second half. That's just, I'm going to see, you forget how good Arsenal, what they lost. It wasn't about them. It's about us and how well we played in that second half.
And Asim, just coming on this before we come on the super chat, we saw this in the 2018-19 season, our first title charge, when we missed out on a point against Man City, that there was 2-3 games where if we just had someone experienced. I know we had James Milner, but if we just had a little bit, fortunes or lucky decisions, or just a little bit of like, hey, you know what, calm yourselves. But because at that time we were still playing that pressure football, going for it 100 miles per hour at times. But there was a few games in that season where you thought, you know what, we would have learned a lot from that season. And we did come back next season and win the league. We did come back. This would have been a great footballing lesson for Mikel Arteta. Everything. He would have soaked up. He will watch his games. He will watch his games. No. He will watch his games. He will watch his game numerous of times over the season, over the summer, and say, you know what, we will correct this next season at Anfield. If they want to be a team that challenges the likes of Manchester United, the Liverpools, the Chelseas next season, maybe the Uniteds, the Liverpools, he would have learned a lot from this season, from this game tonight alone.
I mean, the amount of times Arteta was going crazy at the bench, telling his centre-backs to hold the ball in transitions.
I saw that.
This is the problem with Anfield, and like you guys have just touched on, Anfield swallows you up. And especially when it's the sort of in a basketball match, he didn't want it to be a basketball match, even in this sort of current stage Liverpool are at the moment. And because he was just wanting to entice the sort of Liverpool midfield onto their centre-backs and then go at them. But what they were doing is they were popping off the ball way too early, which was allowing the likes of Robertson and Fabinho and Henderson, to his credit, press them. And we were winning the ball, and we had a lot of turnovers today. A lot of turnovers.
And just again, we will read the super chat. You know what they didn't do second half enough, Arsenal? They didn't disrupt the game enough. Only once, when Gabriel got the shot to the face, which was a bit.
How many bloody times did they piss me off today, though?
No, but Gene, they could have gotten away with a lot more if they had the little bit of intelligence to do it. They could have gotten away with a lot.
They did it more in the first half than the second half. They probably, because the amount of times them players went down, it was really, really pissing me off.
The Gabriel one was absolutely comical, because it wasn't even that hard of a shot from Fabinho, but he goes down like a sack of potatoes, and he's lying there for several minutes.
Yeah, Avi, do you want to take the super chat? It's our main man.
Yeah, thanks, Ash. As always, here in the comments in every show. Klopp's presser after is very telling. Says to me, Trent in the inverted fullback 6 is going to be more regular. Thought Trent was great unlucky Gunners. I've seen this film before. We know how it ends.
We don't know how it ends.
Yeah, but look, let's touch on Trent. Let's touch on Trent because I thought, look, you know, these guys who says Trent can't defend, Trent can't defend. I'm the first one to say, look, he's not the best defender, especially when you compare him to the likes of Kyle Walker and Reece James. But how many times has Reece James played in a four at the back for the last 3-4 years? He's always generally been playing as a wing back or even at times as a third centre back. Plenty of protection from a double pivot, the likes of Kovacic, mopping up, Kante mopping up. How many times has this guy
High
played
line.
in high line? So all the variables are going against Trent here. Yes, he's been way off it. So has Liverpool, all the team, all the players, the management, and the club as a whole. But you have to understand this is more down to structural problems. And whoever says, he just can't defend, I think he's deluded. Honestly, with all due respect, they're deluded. Liverpool won all the biggest prizes with Trent at right back. But you have to understand teams evolve. Then make no mistake about it. A lot of these players, well, especially the engine room, as we all talked about in months and months ago, for all these months, that the engine room needs replacing. So but I'm glad where we've sort of adjusted him into midfield. And the main thing that people are forgetting is he came into midfield today. Yes, he's come into those areas before. But when Liverpool have the ball, they generally even let Robbo go. If you've realized today, Robbo was really a lot deeper in the build-up. So we had an extra man in the defensive line, which allowed Kanate to go on the right-hand side and mop up a lot and get closer to Martinelli. So this was all about protection and then allowing Trent to do his things in midfield and do the things what he did. In the couple of weeks, Chelsea on the right-hand side, even City with Stones, and today Zinchenko, Salah had a lot of times in transition where he was getting the ball. Trent bypassed Zinchenko. Nobody talks about that. But you have to. It's a catch-22 where, you can't have someone to be in a midfielder and also, expect them to be the main deep-lining playmaker, but also expect them to be 10 yards further deeper and be front on with the play. And I'm not saying Trent doesn't need to improve on his defending. I was saying this on a call on the way back home today with Sheen, saying, you know what, I think, yes, he's carrying a bit of muscle. We also need to look at the ball and the player's feet. There are far too many times Trent is just looking at the person's eyes or face, and it's too late. These sort of players, these sort of wingers, likes of Martinelli and Vinicius, they stand you up, and if you're just looking at their face or in their eyes, they just move the ball a lot quicker, and you're flat-footed and you can't move, and you're 2 yards behind. Even Trossard and Tierney was coming on the, I think we came on the 85th minute. He was bypassing him. I firmly believe is due to his positioning and flat-footed, and it's one for the coaches to make sure he makes those improvements this season and next season.
You've hit the nail on the head, Asim. 1 minute. You hit the nail on the head there, and you know what it is as well. The opposition teams, right? They will figure out how we play eventually, and they have this season to a certain degree. They know our fullbacks love to bomb forward, love to create, right? So they have maybe targeted Trent, and that's allowed. It's our job now, like you said, Asim, to navigate around that and find Trent the perfect position. And it could well be next season he's back at right back, but he's got the protection to go forward and not be exposed because we've got cover there, adequate cover. We've got players that will track back and fill that space from the one that Trent's pushed on forward with. So this was always, you could say, was always going to happen because he's been so consistent in the last 5-6 years, so consistent, right? That look, he is bound to have teams, who have targeted him, and he has been left exposed. Lack of personnel. I do feel that positionally he has been absolutely terrible, and that's something on him rather than coaching, because you should know where your position is. When you
what do you mean by that? What do you mean in terms of position?
Like when the team's on the counter attack, he should know where he is. He sometimes, like you said, labored the way he tracks back. Today, that Gabriel Jesus chance in the first half, where he should have scored, a little bit of a Nisha touch, he gets that in. Trent was ball watching, and we saw that in the beginning of the season as well with Mitrovic when he got on top of him. Yes, he got overpowered, but he should have seen that run. The Vinicius Champions League final, again, sort of ball watching. Those things instinctively, you as a defender should know a lot better when you're playing at right back.
Question. Before you go, question. I think, look, I'm all for this trend in terms of transitioning him into the inverted space, but that's then that's going to cause questions in regards to Robbo, because if that's the case, then I genuinely believe we're going to need most likely a left-footed centre back, yeah, who's actually good enough to play to come on the ball and take the ball forward. This is where I was going now. That's my thing. If we are going to change into a more inverted right back and Trent's going to come into that sort of position, with all due respect to Robbo, we need and let's face the music. Robbo is decent defender. He's a decent defender,
Yeah.
but and he's a very, very good attacker. We're not going to need an attacker. We're going to need a proper defender to cover the sort of space then. So there's going to be a massive question. If we are going to, and Klopp's alluded to it in his presser, that is we're going to see more of this in the future, or I don't know if he meant until the end of the season, or is it going to be a way we're going to play, let's say, next season? There's a question mark over Robbo's future then, Asim, and it begs the question, do we bring in a left-sided centre-back?
Look, only this week, guys, we've heard Guardiola. He's sort of praised about being so ruthless. In his latest press conference, he said Walker cannot play this third centre-back role. He can't. Yeah. And it is really, really striking to me. I thought Walker did that decently for City when he played that role. He did it also for England in a back three at times. But generally speaking, if you look at Arsenal, they do it with three centre-backs, White, Saliba and Gabriel. And you make the pitch wide. You can only do it if your three centre-backs are already split, and it allows your wingers, as in Arsenal's case, today we saw Martinelli and Saka hold the width. If your centre-backs are not going to do that, and sort of capable in one-on-one positions, which Robertson is, but if you're going to go to man-to-man across the pitch with those, three attackers, generally speaking, when you're on, when you face the likes of City and Arsenal, then you need more of a centre-back rather than a Robertson. We've seen, Luke Shaw play at times, or even Martinez play at times, even though they play in a four rather than three. But is that similar sort of, mold of a player where, even today, I thought Robertson was trying to fight with Saka at times.
Yeah, I did as well.
But look, I'm all up for that. If it gives Robbo sort of something to think about, then it can only mean good for Liverpool. If we bring someone the caliber of Guardiola or any left-sided centre-back, it can only mean a good thing, Avi.
Yeah, and it would also mean that our manager is willing to change and change it permanently. I think today, he had to change it up. I think with the 4-3-3, with the way it's stringent at times, I think we would have been played off the park, which, for the best part of 28 minutes, because of the system change, we did. But if he had persisted with it, I think we would have been exposed, because Martinelli has the beating of Trent when he's playing as a right back time and time again. We saw it earlier in this season, and we saw it in today's game as well. It would suggest that what will be striking to me is how we approach the Leeds game. Will he actually go with three recognized centre backs? So maybe like a Gomez, a Van Dijk, and a Konate, and then put Trent in a two with a Fabinho, and then a further two maybe with a Thiago or a Jones, and then you got the three. It will be interesting to see what he does for the away game against Leeds, or will he revert back to the 4-3-3?
But I mean, also we have a problem with Gene said we might, if you're gonna, stick with this formation and try to sort of really enhance it going forward, as I've not read sort of or heard Klopp's presser, but if we're going to carry on with this, then it's not just the left back role. We also need to probably look at our two number 10s. And today, Trent and who was the deep lining midfielder today, Fab, if they were playing in that 6-6, Henderson and Jones were our two number 10s today. And although I thought Henderson, really put a shift in, and he played that right side in more midfield role, I'm not going to call him a De Bruyne, but he hit those channels a lot, and it allowed us to really sustain attacks, and it's allowed to come wide, him to sort of take a defender and open the space up for Trent to come into midfield. But
that's where Jude Bellingham comes in, I think.
But can he play that number 10 role on the ball?
Let's talk at the moment. Let's talk at the moment going forward. Forget about the future, because we don't even know if Jude's signing or not. Okay.
You told me it's done.
Listen, I'm just tongue in cheek. Okay? It is done. It is done. Don't worry. Before we start losing subscribers or viewers, it is done. Listen, the 2 10s going forward for Leeds, it's got to be Curtis Jones, because he's played that role before. You cannot drop Curtis Jones now. He wasn't amazing today. He wasn't amazing against Chelsea. Don't get me wrong. But you know what? He's got that physical presence, more of it than a Carvalho and Elliott. Maybe there is room for now, Elliott and Carvalho. Maybe they would be more suited to this 4-2-2 Asim. Maybe, they would be more suited to this system rather than the 4-3-3 and putting them in a position where they not accustomed to. So look, I'm looking at it against Leeds. I'm looking at it probably as a Hendo Fab, a Fab Trent, and then maybe a Thiago and a Jones. And then you got your three up top. I think that's what he might do against Leeds, which is a little bit more creative. It's a little bit more daring. Thiago can play that role, as can Jones. And that's probably, we might see Jones, flourish even more. Listen, Jones needs game time, right? We saw him today, that backflip to Jota, that was his little creative side. It wasn't enough. I get that. We didn't see it enough. But look, give him that chance. If he's fit and he's ready, play him, because I'd rather see him there than a Harvey Elliott, because we've tried Harvey Elliott there and he hasn't fit. He hasn't fitted in. And obviously we know Klopp doesn't, he hasn't taken to Carvalho as we thought. So look, who's the next best option there? It's Jones, because Ox won't get it, Naby won't get it. Milner is not like a 2-10s like you.
Javi, he's got 10 games
to play Jones there.
He's got 10 games to save his Liverpool career.
I think it could be too late, Gene. I think already
he's got, and I know that. Look, I said to him I was going to give Curtis Jones this season, right? And I know that the last week when we went through the players that we want out, he's got this season. If he's good enough, we will show in the next 4 or 5 games, because he will get chances to play. He is going to get his chance over the next 10 games. I believe he will. Just to show, because look, we've got nothing really to play for right now. So he will play for them. He'll get his chances, and if he's good enough in them games, we'll see. Personally, I don't think he will make it. I think we will go on, because we're gonna, especially if we're looking at the likes of Bellingham and Mount, that basically takes his position out. He's done. His position is done.
Would you start Jones against Leeds?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think
because I just believe that he's got. We really don't really have other players good enough to play in that sort of position. So I think he's probably going to give Jones the opportunity now over the next, let's say, 7 or 8, 10 games that we've got left.
I mean, with Curtis Jones, you know my opinion. I've never questioned his ability, especially on the ball, and he's got all the ability even to come and receive the ball. And this is why Jurgen Klopp was really frustrated at times with Curtis Jones, because he knows his ability. If he's putting the faith and the trust in a player, then he needs to make sure he replays that. But we have to manage him in terms of his appearances. I'm giving Jota time, because it's been a long time since he's come back from the team, even though it's been a year. I think it's the anniversary for Jota. His goal anniversary tomorrow, so make sure we share a slice of cake for tomorrow. For tomorrow,
but shove that cake where the sun don't shine. That's what he's doing, by the way.
Best behavior. But in terms of Curtis Jones, I think he did get better after the first 20-30 minutes, just like Liverpool, and his second half performance was better, and he was a lot higher for me. And when he's higher on the edge of the box with the runners going, either Robbo overlapping or the attacker running down the channel, and he's got that ability, just like he showed for the goal. But it'll be fascinating to see what Liverpool go with Leeds, and even going forward for the next sort of 10-11 games, Avi, and going into the next season. If Jurgen Klopp implements this sort of style, then it'll be fascinating and intriguing to see which way we go. Because with City and Arsenal, they play this sort of positional sense. They're a lot more positional. Today, Liverpool played that sort of setup, but at times it was still chaos. Núñez was going down the left, Jota was coming. It was a lot more fluid and not non-positional, as we like to sort of see from Arsenal and City.
And just on Jones, we know he's a pretty footballer. He's got the touches, he's got the silkiness, he can get away from his man. But we need to see more in the final third now. So he has got 8-9 games, like you said, Gene, right, to clock up a few assists, a few goals to keep him. Because look, we will need to keep some Englishmen. I know you've taken them all out, Gene, from your 2 weeks ago, right? For Curtis Jones, the opportunity is there to want it, to want a career. He's had his injuries, yes, but he will want to turn around to Klopp and say, listen, you can't drop me against Leeds. We've got a few games coming up, which are kind of, winnable games, but we know our record against the bottom 6 this season. Like, go and get me some goals and assists, go and create, because he's got it in him to do that. And hopefully Klopp lets him, hopefully Klopp lets the shackles off and lets him express himself.
Look, Kaelin's, Asim, I'll just pick up, Jones is best in the attacking third. He'd be a great 10, to be fair. Look, from a 10, I expect goals and assists. It's as simple as that. If you're playing in a 10 for Liverpool Football Club in that sort of position, I expect goals and assists. So this is where he needs to show. And Avi mentioned it, goals and assists. We need to see more in terms of Curtis Jones, in terms of this area, because I still believe, yes, he can be neat and tidy, but I don't want neat and tidy footballers, Avi. When you play in that 10 for Liverpool Football Club, the onus is on you to play the through ball, to make more of a play. So when Thiago comes on, even though he's not a 10, you saw the control that he put. And then Jones came off and Thiago came on today in terms of control. What Thiago gave us is he gives you wave after wave of attack. That's what he's there to bring. He just brings a calmness to our play. And that's why we were camped in their half, the second half.
Which, to be fair to Curtis Jones, I think he saw the best of Arsenal today. Rather than, Thiago came on, they were sort of back against the walls, Arsenal, trying to protect, their lead, or even the 2-2 once we equalised. And it's a lot easier to, Thiago to keep popping off the ball and sustain attacks. So to be fair to him, yes, I agree with you. He does need to sometimes just play instinctively. And times, I think the game was too quick for him. And just like Liverpool, himself were just too passive. Go on, Avi.
I didn't agree with the only one thing that I criticized Klopp on today. One of the few things. I didn't agree with that substitution, by the way. Hooking Jones off and putting Thiago on. I don't mind Thiago coming on. Thiago, that was the right decision, bringing Thiago on. We had the momentum. As soon as Thiago came on and Nunes came on, he should have brought off Hendo, but I get it. He wanted the experience there, and Jones may have, overcommitted, or Thiago overcommitted when it came on the transition of a counter-attack. But when you had that much momentum, it just killed that little bit of momentum for the next sort of 15, 20, and then we went again. That next 15 minutes period, it wasn't like we were marauding or we were just like, thundering them with attacks. It just slowed the game down a bit. So that was the only one little pickle that I could take out, is I didn't agree with the substitution of hooking Jones off for Thiago, because Jones was playing very well in the second half. Like, he was getting more intricate. He was getting close up with the final third. He was getting closer with the attacking force that we had with Jota, Gakpo, and Salah.
Gene Ash says our entire midfield has contributed 8 GA this season.
Shocking. No comment.
Shocking. Well,
I think that we don't need to say anything after that. I think we all know that's where the issues lie. So I think everybody knows. What can you say?
Well, look, Gene, I want to ask you about a few more individual performances before we move on. Jota, I know we've been talking about him.
Why don't we just coincide that with the player ratings?
Okay, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. You've got the player ratings today, yeah?
Not the player. Well, hopefully it'll be a better system next.
I didn't know we're doing a few player ratings.
It'll be don't worry, Gene. Not that your contribution will matter in the player ratings. He's more mine and Asim's 14.
Okay, Curtis Jones 10.
No, wait.
Curtis Jones 10.
Let's start off with we'll start off with the goalkeeper. We'll start off with the goalkeeper.
Abi's taking over proceedings, so if we go offline so miraculously, he's just pressed the wrong button.
Boys, Alisson, Gene.
Look, I don't think Alisson could have done anything with their goals. I know he nearly gifted one at the end, though, when his kick wasn't that great. But generally speaking, and to be fair, did you really have any amazing saves today? It was probably the first game where we've not really seen in terms of Alisson needing to make a big save. So 7, probably standard 7 for him.
Yeah. I agree. Alisson didn't do anything wrong. He swept up. That was an important clearance right at the end of the game.
At the end, yes.
And I think it was Martinelli who played that ball
for Saka.
For Saka, and he had to sweep that. Just because of that, I'd give him a solid 7.
Yeah, 7 for me too. The main man, second half, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Gene?
8.
Wow.
I thought he did really, really well, man. I thought he coming into that inverted position as well. The assist for that goal, brilliant assist, left to Zinchenko through his legs. I think he nutmegged him from what I could see. Brilliant assist for the goal. There's a few times he played brilliant balls into Darwin as well. I know I'm talking about his attacking play, yeah, but generally speaking, I thought he did really, really well. I thought that was one of his good games, let's say. And another thing is fight and aggression from him today. That is one thing that we've really, really gone to town on Trent in terms of he just doesn't give us enough. We wanted more. Shows that fight, shows the belief. and I felt, he showed us that today. So an 8 for Trent.
Asim?
I think his one-on-one defending could be better. He needs to get a lot more lower down and really track the runner. But I think in terms of, we probably haven't practiced this. And we had a game against Chelsea, and all things considered, his new role that we've really seen today for large parts of the game, and be providing an assist, I'd give him a solid 7.5. Are we allowed 0.5s, are we?
Yeah, I'm going. I've gone
Okay.
for Trent. 7.75.
Well,
Asim, can you please take over this player rating?
You either
he's
give
got his
him.
own TD starting now.
You either
give
give him
7.75s.
You either give him
no. It's better than. Listen, 7.5s are fine, but I thought he's better than a 7.5. 7.5 is someone maybe like
an 8.
Avi, Gene had the bottle and the courage to give him an 8. Do you have the courage?
I think 8 is an exceptional, is an impressive performance. I thought first 28 minutes he wasn't impressive.
Who agrees with me as an 8? Let's see.
7. I think
Right, Kalen said
7.75.
8.
No, 0.75. 7.5s don't work for me. It's either 0.5 or a whole number. So are you giving him a 7.5 or an 8, Avi?
You will stay on the fence and say
You sound
7.5. Guaranteed.
You sound like the away fans for the last 70 minutes now.
What did Gene give him?
See, he's not trying to go against me. That's all he is. At least says
he's looking at the comments.
Yeah,
no. Okay, I'll give him. Okay, 7.5. But I don't know how he's giving him an 8. How can you give him an 8? We didn't win the game. We didn't win the game.
He's giving him an 8. So I'm not the only one to make it out like it.
Explain your 8 for Trent.
I just did. I thought he was brilliant today. From what I've seen Trent play over the last 6 months, he was brilliant today. I thought there was aggression in his game. I can't hear you. Keep yourself on mute. There was aggression in his game. His assist was unbelievable. We could have had at least 2 or 3 minimum. That ball that he played for Darwin Núñez as well. There was so many instances he could. I thought he did really, really well today. 8 for me. Okay. Don't give him 8.
We'll go back to Avi. Have you changed your mind? Is it a 7.5?
He's not changing his mind.
A very good 7.5.
Okay, carry on.
No. I refuse this. We're not allowed to 0.75. What's this all about? It's the first time ever.
7.5. You gave me 7.5.
These are player ratings. We don't need to over elaborate. You said 7.5 yourself.
You see 7.5s. You don't see never. You never see 7.7.
No, my mistake. Mafi. All right, Konate.
10.
8.
Fucking hell.
I'm giving Uibu a 10. The way he managed Jesus, the way he bullied him, the way he was tenacious, those sliding tackles, they weren't just sort of galvanizing the.
Yeah, let him carry on. He's on fucking mute. Give him a 10. Gene, tell me how you give him a 10.
Why did you mute me? Why did you mute me?
No, but don't tell me how you're giving him. Like, how is he giving him a 10? He was brilliant.
Look at those comments. Look at those comments.
We're never gonna. Now but these are just trolls now saying that. Ali, don't be ridiculous.
They know the game.
No, on a serious note, I have to say that cruncher. I know somebody's mentioned it now. That crunching tackle on Xhaka, that was amazing. I loved that about it. But listen,
I agree.
I'll be honest with you.
For a 10 though, perfection.
For me,
you said that was a near perfect performance.
No,
it
wasn't.
2 goals.
First half. After the first half an hour, I thought there was a few times where I thought he was being a bit too aggressive, and we managed to he gave away a few free kicks and all that sort of stuff. Look, I think between an 8 and a 9 personally.
Hey, I'll give him an 8.5 today. Second half.
Joking aside,
he was monstrous in that second half, especially, and he was that leader at the back today. Not Virgil van Dijk, not Trent, not Robertson, who've got years on him with the experience.
Oh, by the way, he missed a sitter, so he's not getting a 10.
It was an absolute.
He missed an absolute sitter, so he's not getting a 10 for that reason.
It was my love for Ibu that was coming out and gave him a 10. It was my love. But joking aside, I give him a 9. I think he was that good. Nobody for a long, long time has managed, especially in the second half, managed and bullied, Jesus on the halfway line, one-on-one. And not only that, like we just mentioned, covering Trent on the right-hand side. He was many times one-on-one against Martinelli, and he came out the winner, and he came out with the ball.
His 2-3 crunching tackles, crunching challenges on Martinelli were gold. Absolutely gold dust. So no, Konate, fair enough. And I've been on Konate's back as well of late. But today, brilliant in the second half. Boys, I missed that. Verge. Gene?
Verge, look. Didn't really do it. Again, for the goals, not really at fault. It was just one of them. Probably give him 7.75. 7.5.
I give Verge a 7.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
know-
I think I agree with Asim there. 7.
That first goal, I think he just panicked a touch and it just like he stuck a leg out and it rebounded off someone.
And when has he ever misjudged a header like that? Like misjudging the flight of the
Oh
ball.
yeah, sorry.
for
You know
Jesus to
what?
get
You're
the-
right. I
So,
forgot
but,
about
but,
the rest of
but
the goal.
second
I
half,
probably agree
second
with
half,
you now, guys.
second half, Verge, he came back well. And you know what? I'm gonna cut Verge a lot of slack, right? Because he's getting it from all corners of European football, it seems, of even the Dutch press, even ex-players like Van Basten, Hullet going for him. We know
Forget
he
Van
hasn't
Basten.
been his imperial best. We know that this season. But you know what? He's got a lot of credit in the bank with me, and he should have with all Liverpool fans. Next season, another big test for him to see how he comes off. But I just think Virgil today, second half, he did make amends. A 7 for me.
Fair, I
Plenty
think
of,
I probably gave you two
plenty of 6s for Verge.
sixes as well. Wow.
And I understand that too. I understand why there would be like 6s for him too. So 6 or 7. So say 6.5. Yeah. Average it out.
Okay.
Robbo, our Scottish warrior, Braveheart.
I think he had a nervous first 20, 30 minutes. He was either getting too tight and trying to have a fight.
Boys, before we even get to his rating, what did we think of the old that elbow?
Believe it or not, I've not seen it because I was driving back, so
So
I
he
got in just to.
So the halftime whistle blows, and then he runs up to the I can't even pronounce
I
his
saw
name.
the ref run to the referee get a yellow for something.
And he kind of he didn't. Robbo doesn't grab him. He just sort of taps him like that,
Yeah.
and the guy just flings his elbow. The official, the third official, the offside on the linesman. He just put that on his. He just put an elbow, and it's the same official that caused Rolla between Robbo at Spurs last season when he got sent off in the 2-2.
That liner was a joke anyway.
And Paul Tierney was referee, that day
Exactly.
too.
It's the same crew, isn't it? It's the same crew.
So there must have been something there, but he got elbowed, and there should be ramifications. I know YouTube probably haven't seen the replays, but it's a clear and obvious elbow. It's not as if he's just done this or he just shrugged him off. He lifts his elbow to almost a 45 degrees angle, and he flicks him. He flicks him off.
I saw it, Avi, and then Robert went up to him saying, "What's that all about?" And a few other players started gathering around.
And he gets the yellow for it. That's what's
Yeah.
crazy. Paul
Yeah.
Tierney gives Robbo the yellow for it.
This is why they got
Tierney,
pulled
innit?
off half time
What
and
do
they
you
got
expect,
pulled
Tierney?
off at full time as well. But Robertson, Avi, I was saying, look, I think he had a nerve-wracking, 20, 30 minutes. And I think he was trying to have a fight with Saka. Like I said, Saka is so strong. He is so good. The sort of lower center of gravity, his thighs and arse are that big. He is so strong. Honestly, he is so strong.
I'm not one to look at his backside, but fair enough.
Yeah, but he shields the ball a lot, so you see it a lot.
Saka
But
reminds me a lot of Salah in terms of he doesn't get embroiled in these spats during the game and off the pitch. I'm sure he's a great gentleman, but we don't see him get phased by the opposition trying to wind him up. For me, Robbo today, Asim, I'm gonna give him a 6.5. 0.5 just because of that passion in the second half. Like he
Six
did very well second
for
half.
me. I'm giving him a 6.
I agree with Gene. I think because his first 20, 30 minutes were bad. He was getting
Really
too
bad.
tight. It was, and he slipped for the first goal as well. I know it's a
He
slip.
did.
It was still a mistake.
Yeah.
And we should know that, Avi. We should know that because he got caught on the outside. If you saw a lot of, these videos of Arteta, he talks about this inside ball to their wingers.
Yeah.
So they run onto it. And if they can run into midfield or they pop it off to Odegaard, and then it's all runners all galore. You don't know, it's manic. And that's what happened in the first goal. He got caught on the outside. They gave it on the inside and he slipped. And then they just went and Liverpool panicked and there was a few rebounds. And before you know it, the ball was back of the net. But he got better. He started driving forward and I thought he was a lot better second half. So I think it's a solid 6.
Fair enough. 6.5 then overall. Fabinho.
Who's both gave him a 6? He's going with
Fabinho-
a 6.5, so he's going with his thingy.
Fabinho in the 6. Does he get a 6 or higher?
You going? Why don't you give me yours? Because it's gonna be that rating anyway, so you might as well go with it.
Fabinho for me is a
I mean,
weird one.
your player ratings is like, you check out the comments, You check out exactly what me and
Well,
Cheese.
I've been on the L since 8 a.m. So give me a chance, bro. Yeah, I've seen about 2-3 different games already today.
I don't like your tactic here. You're playing safe. You're playing safe here.
Fabinho for me. I mean, I thought he should have done a lot better for that first goal. Again, gets bypassed, doesn't draw a foul. Let Saka just run because we saw the robo slip, but then your DM should be there covering yards, but he just couldn't catch up. I'm gonna give Fabinho second half a little bit better. He did come in as a centre back when we sort of when Trent was inverted a lot more in the second half. Fabinho did tuck in nicely inside. I'd give him a 6 for a 6.
He is turking to say 0.75 again.
No. A 6 for a 6. I'm gonna give 6.
For once, I agree with him. I think he got a rating right for once.
Oh yeah, he's got one right. But I think I felt sorry for him first 30 minutes, guys, because I thought Henderson was wide and Jones was wide as well and high, and that was our tactic to create that box midfield. But it isolated Fabinho, and sometimes we were just chasing shadows. So I felt sorry for him, but I think he persisted and carried on, and yeah, again 6. Not the way we performed. It's very difficult to give someone below 6.
I agree.
Avi, do you agree? Or are you looking at the comments?
No, I agree. There is going to be a player that I would probably give less than a 6, but we'll come on to him.
Ooh.
Next up is our starler. He gets his full name mentioned because I like him. Curtis Jones. Gene?
5.5. No, I'm only joking before Ivy goes to Clippers. Look, 6.5 to me personally, I'll be honest. I didn't think... Personally, I thought you did poor first half. Personally, I don't know, people say that he was probably the better one, but I don't. The second half, the minutes that he played, I thought he played really, really well. So that's why I think I saved him for me personally. I thought he had a decent second, and I agree with Avi to an extent. I was a bit shocked to see him get hooked off when he did get hooked off, because I thought he was actually playing well at that time. So 6.5. Go on, I'll give him a 6.5.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. Can't say much more than that.
A lot of sevens in the comment. A few sevens in the comment.
I'm going to agree with Mr. Damien Smart because that's a very smart comment. One of the very few smart comments in our chat today.
You got a few sevens.
That is Jones' best game in age. I agree. Kept the ball tidy in possession. Got that little back heel to Jota. Created that first goal. So he does get a 7 for me. I was very, very surprised he got taken off. But Klopp,
why are you surprised?
Klopp, because I do feel Klopp has his favorites.
Oh, come on.
Wrong with that. I do feel Klopp does have his favorites.
No.
Curtis Jones, second game in the space of 4 or 5 days. I don't know when the last time he has played 2 games in a row for us. But Curtis Jones, he played well. 7 for me.
But Avi, look, we sustained attacks. I know we were attacking, before Jones went off, but with Thiago, we were moving side to side a lot, and they were, sort of camped in. They were camped in, and especially with Thiago, he can intercept the ball a lot better. And when they were sort of countering, he won a few balls on the halfway line.
He did.
Well, that sort of.
I didn't mind Thiago coming on when he did. I thought there was another player that could have been the sacrificial lamb. But we'll go on, and maybe it was our skip. We'll talk about captain now. I'll go first. I thought first half he looked a little bit short again. A lot of running around without sort of sustaining a set position and picking up the smart balls. But second half, look, we needed a sort of we needed a leader there, and he was our leader there, and he played well, and he kept the ball moving, and he was aggressive, and there were signs of the old Hendo. He was harassing the opposition. He was picking up the loose balls, But for me, I would give him 6.5.
I'd give a Henderson for the first 20-30 minutes. I was really frustrated because we were hitting that ball to him and he didn't control it. You were heading it, first time you were popping it, the sort of famous little lob that we see into the channel from Henderson. And I thought, you know what, this system's not working. It's just not working. We've got Curtis Jones who's hogging it. But, on the other side, Henderson, sort of letting it go too early. But you know what? I thought he was really good for second half, just like, the team. And he played that role like he did. He's overlapping, allowing the space for Salah and, Trent to come into that sort of vacated space left by his sort of, what's that word? Unselfish runs. and we don't sometimes see that. And I thought he got a lot better, and he galvanized the crowd a few times as well on that far side. And they reacted to him, and this is what you need. And you're probably going to say, "Oh, he's a footballer," but you sometimes have to get the crowd on your side. And this season,
he's a captain. That's his job.
We haven't had anything to shout about. Generally speaking, we have not. I think we won about 3 games in a row all season. It's not Liverpool like, but today he got the crowd up, and it was a really intense atmosphere. And I think for today, especially for his second half performance, I'm giving him a 7.
Gene?
6.5 to me, I think.
Yeah.
I thought he was really bad in the first half, like really bad. There's a few times I think where he was just chasing shadows, and some of his runs. Another thing that I've got issue. There was times where I felt as though he was way too eager in terms of supporting the forward players, and I thought sometimes just hold your position a bit more, because we were getting outrun in the first half an hour. I felt they were popping the ball around us, and it felt as though we were just way too eager. Just hold your position for the next 5 or 10 minutes, and you're the captain. Just calm it down. But to be fair to him, I thought he played really, really well in the second half, and I think that's what salvaged his performance. Personally, 6.5. I think 7's a bit high, high for him. But yeah, I'm going with the 6.5.
I think Asim's going to have to rewatch the game properly today on Sky Sports.
You do see it slightly differently elsewhere on the ground. But anyway.
I said to you, the first 20-30 minutes is really bad.
Yeah, but you're giving him a 7. Come on.
I thought, look, he's the captain.
So from potentially a 4 in the first 30, he's shot up 3. So you're giving him a 7 for the next sort of 60 minutes. Wow. Some call that. Some call. Anyway, we'll go on to the king. Mohamed Salah. Someone who's gets the goal, probing as always, used his pace well, could have created more decision making in the final third in the last 15-20 minutes, snatching at chances, could have got a hat-trick today on another day. He could have got a hat-trick, misses the penalty, and I think Klopp has alluded to it that he will ask him the question during the week whether he wants to keep on taking him. I don't see no reason to drop him from penalties. I think overall he does have a great record. He's missed his last 2. I get that, but I'm not going to say, whether he should or should not be taking penalties. He's a forward. Forward should always want to take responsibility and take these penalties. So I don't have any issues with that. His player rating, I give him...
Why are you reading the comments again?
I'm not. I'm reading my thing.
Yeah, you are.
I give him a 6.5.
You give him a 6.5.
I mean, Salah he didn't storm off, but he just went down the tunnel straight away. So maybe he wasn't happy with his own performance. Well, you just given him a 6.5.
Yeah, Salah is his own. He's why he's elite. He's his own worst critic. So he would have gone down because he knows that was an opportunity missed. He scores that, we go, we win 3-2. Effectively, we win 3-2 because he scores the penalty, right? But if he storms off, he knows
6.5.
He's gonna he didn't let the team down, but himself will be beating over it. For me, 6.5.
No chance. 5.5.
5.5. Wow. Also 5.5 to 6. There's not much difference.
Salah. There's one flipping point difference, a massive difference, mate. He goes 1 whole point difference. I'm being honest with you.
I give him a 6 because he got on the
5.5. And another thing I think and people know Salah's my favorite player and I love him. But 5.5 is the max, and I'll tell you why. Because when he missed that penalty, Asim, it felt as though for the next 15 minutes, it got to him. Everything that he was trying to do wasn't paying off. Yes, he improved in the latter part of the game for the next 10. For the last 15, I get that. But he wasn't that good. There was times where he was 1-on-1 and he wasn't winning he wasn't beating his man. And Andy missed the pen. And at the end of the day, he's got to put that away. So 6.5.
Oh, we got a visitor.
6.5. Avi, you're in Cloud Cook. I don't know what game you're watching.
Avi, I think it's one of the biggest.
Because he's still our most attacking threat.
It doesn't matter if he's your attacking threat. He just missed the pen. Yeah, went missing for 15 minutes. Yeah, he scored that first goal. Fair play. Yeah, I'll give him credit for that. But with all due respect, when it's Mo Salah, you expect more from him. He's your talisman. So with all due respect, you can't be giving other people shit ratings. But when it concerns Mo Salah, then you're being nice to him. I'm sorry, I don't buy that.
What do you give him, Avi?
6.5, man.
6.5.
7 is 6.6. I'd say is like sort of 6.5 is about an average performance.
I look at
personally.
look.
That's
Okay,
what I think.
have
Anyway,
have you done ranting? Please attend to your kid because you used some language there. I hope the door's closed now.
I'm not saying anything
Anyway,
stupid.
anyway,
He's right.
look, Salah for me is a player that look. Yes, he misses the penalty, but he also got us back into the game. Yes, it was a tap in, but he got us back into the game. He has to be in that position to score. He was right, and he was probing. He was trying to create, and he has a hand in the second as well. So for me, he gets a 6.5. Look, a lot of the players today, because of the result, right?
I'm looking forward to
we-
somebody else's thing, and let's see
we've
how.
been we've been a little bit kind as well, right? If we had lost that game, then I'm sure your 5.5 would have been justified. But I have given him, a little bit of a higher maybe than usual. 6.5 in my eyes. Asim,
I gave him a 6. I gave him a 6. Yes, he's sort of down tools a bit when he's walking out. I don't particularly like that, but all great champions are very, very sort of resilient and very not greedy, but they have really sort of one focus and make sure they hit that back of the net. And but to be honest with you, Salah, I've been saying to many, many people, and you guys included, that it's one of the biggest mysteries in football for me that Salah doesn't have a worse record than what he has at the moment in terms of penalties. I don't think his particularly sort of technique on penalties is great. And even today, his long run up was really bad. He's been changing it over the years. And in terms of how many times has he scuffed the ball into the net, even the Champions League final, it wasn't great. He went down the middle a lot of the times, but he was scuffing a lot. But maybe now is obviously taking a damper on his confidence as well. And I think he's missed, the last 3 out of 6 penalties that he's taken. So
2 out of the last 6.
2 out of the last 6. So it's not a disaster, but the king he is, the brilliant, potent striker, our main man, he is. I think he'll carry the burden and continue taking the penalties.
3 and 6.
Is it 3 and 6? Yeah.
3 and 6. My bad.
Okay, whatever it is, but I think he'll continue, and I hope he says yes, because look, I want him to continue scoring goals. Salah scoring goals can only mean one good thing for Liverpool, and make sure he has keeping him happy. And I think it makes him feel like he's carrying the responsibility. If you take it off him, then I think you might upset him.
Cody, Gakpo, Gene?
It's a weird one. I didn't really think he had his best games, if I'm honest. I didn't really see anything in the attacking third. Probably 5.5, if I'm being honest.
Wait, you gave Salah a 5.5, right?
Yeah.
And Gakpo a 5.5 too?
Yeah.
Bevakuf. Asim, are you reading this?
I'm hearing it.
Are you hearing this? So tell me in the comments. Okay, tell me, guys, in the comments if Gakpo had the same performance as a Salah today.
So Shahzad Aziz gave him a 5. Zach gave him a 5. Kadir gave him a 5.5. Wait. What are you going to give him? Go on. Let's play. No. Forget I give 5. What are you going to give him?
So I gave Salah a 6.5.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm going to give Gakpo a 5.5. I didn't think he was great either today. I don't think he was great.
So you've just called Gene
because he's given the same rating as Gakpo. Then Salah created more. He had a few chances. He scored. He missed a penalty. But you're giving Gakpo. You think Gakpo was played as well as him or as bad as
I said 5. I said 5.
No, now you're changing it now. Look at him change it now.
I said
you got found out. But third, you got found out. Remember the last person that got found out, yeah? But
I said 5.
You get found out in the end.
I said 5. Did I not rewind back? I said 5. I'll push it to a 5.5.
Thank you, Kieran Dolan. Thank you, Mr. Nerd. Gakpo 5. I think 5 is fair enough. Asim?
Okay.
What did I give Salah? A 6.
Yeah.
I give Cody a 5.75.
We need to bin the 7.5s. 5.5.
Look, I think he was selfless, honestly. I think he look, he's the guy that we go to now. Bobby came and made it into an extra attacker when we went 4 up top. But I think he did plenty of running. And look, he didn't finish the attacks off like we saw against United. But I think, he persevered. And I think that's the sort of, description in terms of his performance today. He persevered, kept on making those selfless runs. And he does have a good touch and he can hold off defenders. And we will only see him get better. Today,
okay, guys,
probably 5.5.
Okay, one thing I do want to bring up, right? I saw Gakpo take corners today.
Yeah, he did.
Right? He's 6.34, whatever he is, yeah. why is Gakpo taking corners? I was actually a bit shocked to see him take corners. Why is he taking corners?
Maybe it's not good.
When you've got Trent who's good enough to put the ball in, I was actually a bit baffled by it.
Avi, why do you think he took a corner? Because he was Easter Sunday, or must have been a reason behind it.
No, because Robbo and Trent usually are the ones that take the corner. I don't know, Chin. I don't know. Maybe he just fancied to take a corner. Maybe he thought he could plant the ball. They say like forwards are very good crosses because they know where to put the ball in, because that's where they expect it when they're in the final third or in the opposition box. So maybe he thought that he could put it on a 2p or a 6p for Van Dijk or a Kanate. But yeah, we've made baffling decisions on the pitch during the season, so it's one for Klopp to answer. Unfortunately, we don't get access to Klopp.
Apparently, he took corners for PSV. Few comments.
I was just baffled by it, by going by his height. I thought, I'm sure he's one that you want to see in the box. So when I saw him on the corners, I was a bit, look, people are saying he took about PSVs as well, so he probably has got a decent delivery then.
Fair enough. So average, we'll say Gakpo 6, which is fine. This one, Diogo Jota. Now, you guys know about my feelings towards the player. I've got no ill feelings, but I just think he will be on the shop window in the summer. Your thoughts, boys?
Look, I'll be honest. I didn't think Jota did that badly. He got us that pen as well.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I didn't think he did that bad. Yeah, maybe could have done a bit more. But 6.5, Avi?
Not bad at all. I think that's a pathetic comment. Asim, you go. I can't wait for Luis Diaz to be back next week, because you're going to see a world of difference between
6.5.
What did Jean give him?
I gave him a 6.5, and a few people have given him a 6.
No. You just wait. Let the comments come. I will put the comments up. Yeah, you don't need to look at the comments. Asim, you?
I give Jota. If I'm being harsh, I'll give him a 5. If I'm being a bit kind, I'll give him a 5.5. Is that me sitting on the fence?
No, I think a 5. 5 for effort. 5 for turning up. 5 for putting that cross in for Endo to the ricochet of Endo for Salah to score. That's what I give him 5 for.
It wasn't that bad, Avi.
He wasn't great. Tell me, did he have any chances to score? Did he have it? Did he create anything?
With all due respect,
huffing and puffing is the lead. No, huffing and puffing is the first thing a footballer should be doing. To run, to make an effort, that's normal, right? That's your bread and butter. He didn't create. I've got to mind my language now because the little one in the room. He didn't create. There was no ingenuity in his play. He was running the channel, fair enough. That's all he was doing. And he got that, Curtis Jones for that first one, the drag back onto him. He crosses it in. That's it. That's why I give him a 5.
Well, I think
putting a shift in. When Diaz comes back, Joe is not going to be starting on that left next Monday, sorry. A week on Monday.
But don't you think he had a bit of an extra responsibility with Arsenal's dynamic on the right-hand side? Especially with Curtis Jones playing in that half space, high, and making that sort of ball that he did it for the first goal. He was.
He had more responsibility.
Let me finish.
Did he intercept? I didn't see him helping. No, I didn't see him helping out Robertson very well in that first 28 days.
He was putting a shift in. We were getting outnumbered on that side, Avi. They've got Saka on that side, who Robertson was struggling with. They've got Odegaard in the half space. And then they've got, who else is there on that right-hand side? Ben White, protecting, their midfielder. I forgot who it is. Maybe that's on the left-hand side. But look, Jota wasn't great. And I still think he's suffering a clear lack of confidence. It's been a year he hasn't scored. But you can't say, look, I'm glad when Diaz is back. But, you don't expect too much when Diaz comes back. It's been, 6-7 months he's been out?
Diaz is going to come back. If he has a bad game, watch Avi. Always back him.
I will back Luis Diaz. Exactly. Boys, I'll tell you again, and we'll move swiftly on. A £50 million offer for Jota this summer. I think both don't do it just for Zul now. I think both of you two would agree that you would take that.
50 million, but who do we bring in? Give me a name.
You know what? I'll give you two names now: Brennan Johnson and Harvey Barnes.
Oh my God. Look, stop there. Just on that note, let's just call it a night. Because I'm tired. Yeah, I've got a headache. I only had a lollipop to break my fast.
No, Gene, you wouldn't take Brennan Johnson or Harvey Barnes? Two for the price of one?
Sorry, 1 second.
No, so you couldn't tell him.
Harvey Barnes, Harvey has been going on about how before everybody else know. Basically, he's your go-to player, isn't it? You love the kid. He's a decent player. But to say you would sell him and bring Harvey Barnes for Jota, Cloud Cuckoo.
In terms of right.
If we were adventurous, I would go with Diaby and Yeremy Pino of Villarreal. If we wanted to go adventurous, but if we want Jota for 50 million, I think you could bring in an adequate replacement.
Look,
players
Diaby,
all over the world, Asim. Come on, there's no shortages of players who can adapt to that left or centrally.
Look, Diaby, yes,
I'm not seeing Harvey Barnes play centrally.
Big up selection, my boy, who says all for Harvey Barnes. Johnson,
Avi, how does Harvey Barnes get into the Liverpool team? He can't play centrally.
From the left. He's
played
played centrally for Leicester when they've had injury problems. When Daka's been out of form or Vardy, he's played through centrally. He's hit double figures in a Leicester team for the last 3 seasons running. He creates. He's given us loads of problems before.
Generally speaking, Harvey Barnes plays wide left.
Left, yeah. And we will need cover. Because Nunes and Gakpo, they will be vying for that number 9 position. But chalo, TK, we'll stick with him. He hasn't scored in over a year, 31 games. You don't want to keep him Rakijao, but TK. All right, Darwin Nunes, let's move on.
So let's go bring a player from, a player who's... Where are Leicester in the league? What's Harvey Barnes been doing for Leicester this season?
Scored 11 goals in a poor Leicester team.
Oh, come on. 11 goals. You're telling me there's no one else?
What's wrong? Gene, what's wrong with 11 goals?
No, nobody else is scoring for Leicester.
He scored more than Jota has. He scored more than
Jota hasn't played, man.
Oh, but third, Jota hasn't even scored in 7-8 weeks that he's been back. So come on, don't say come on. Ask him to ridicule me and say, oh, come on. He's the 19th Leicester City. He scored 11 goals in 31 games he's seen for Leicester. That's not a bad return for a relegation team. That's not a bad return at all.
Avi, I just think Jota is a better player than Harvey Barnes. You don't sell Jota and bring Harvey Barnes in. That's my opinion. Yes, a couple of more players in Europe, but I want a player to really come and really try. Do you know what Jota did in this first year? Hit the ground running and take a starting, place in this team.
With Harvey Barnes, every season he's had long layoffs.
Yeah, but look, when everyone's fit. But the problem is, look at Darwin Nunes. He was supposed to be the focal point of our attack. He can't stay fit. And he puts extra pressure on the likes of Jota, who've just come back in and they have to hit the ground running. We've got an 85 million striker that can't stay fit. This cut on his ankle is obviously more serious than we were told. But it puts extra pressure on him. When everyone's fit, Jota is a very, very good 4th/5th option. You can't get better than Jota being on the bench. Who else is going to be on the bench?
Would he want to be on the bench though? Would he want to be on the bench though?
Well, at the moment, he has to be happy with it.
Well, right now he's starting, so it's fine. All right, Darwin Nunes, boys. Gene?
You're on mute.
Thank God he's on mute as well.
Darwin Nunes didn't really do anything. What exactly did he do? He got that header for Konate's chance, I think. That's it. 5.
He got that header for Konate, didn't he? Konate should have scored with that header. I can see why Konate went with the chest, but yeah, I don't think that chance, that one-on-one, he has to put that
missed
away.
The chance as well. I think
next season, those chances have got to go for him.
They have to go in.
Abdurrahman has mentioned another player that we don't want in our team, Ollie Watkins. Leave these players to Leicester and Aston Villa. But when they can't come to Liverpool and sort of withstand that pressure. It's big club pressure. I'm sorry. These guys are very good for the likes of Leicester and Aston Villa. They can't make the cut at Liverpool. I'm sorry.
Mr. Nerd has given Nunes 4.5, boys. What are we saying? 5, 4.5, 4.5?
I'm a 5. That's me being kind, I think. I didn't.
I'm going to go with 4.5. That chance with Ramsey, he should have scored that. For £75 million, you score that chance. And I love Darwin Nunes, but you've got to put them away.
Yeah, he probably didn't have it. How long did he get? I can't even remember, but half an hour?
15-20. He got 15-20.
Yeah,
15.
20 minutes. Must have
Yeah, I
got 20
agree.
minutes.
I agree with that. 4.5. You can't give him much more than that, can you?
All right, boys. Bobby Dazzler.
9.
Ooh,
I thought
nice.
I thought Bobby was brilliant when he came on today, man. Personally, I don't know what you think. I thought he did really, really well when he came on. And he got the goal.
You know what? I agree.
Oh, hey! I don't believe this, man.
Bloody hell. We have
Only
these
because,
two agreeing. We have
okay,
these two
as,
agreeing.
as a question for you before you give us your rating. Bobby, can he play in that 210s role alongside a Thiago?
If he was 3-4 years prior to today, I say yes. You need a bit more mobility because you do find yourself on the wide left, like Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne do. You do see sometimes them, come into midfield because you need fluidity. And I know I mentioned Arsenal and Man City play those that set up a lot more positionally. We were a lot more chaotic and fluid. If you ask me 3-4 years, he's definitely got the ability because if you can play a false nine, you can play number 10 as well. He's brilliant at receiving the ball on the half turn, connecting play, and bringing other players into the game. But maybe he just doesn't have the legs right now.
Yeah, I agree with him.
Your rating, Asim, for Bobby?
Bobby, look, I'll get into trouble if I disagree with your 9. I'll go with a 9. He was brilliant, and what a header! What a header! Look, I like to normally come back from a game and watch the game again. Like Gene said, sometimes it can be sort of involved in the whole emotion, and it seems a massive blur. And sometimes you might give someone a 9, and effective. Most people would say, "Look, he was a 6 or a 7." So I don't want to do that. But with Bobby, I agree. He came on. He wanted the ball. You know what, Bobby? He can be on one leg and he could be always wanting the ball to feet and not being scared if someone's behind him. This is what I like about him. He's got cojones and bottle, and he can put his foot on the ball and say, "Come on, who wants it?" And this is what he did today. And you know what? He loves scoring against Arsenal, doesn't he? And he got another one today.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's his 13th of the season, and he's missed a fair few football games this season as well. So good going, Bobby. And he's definitely leaving, right, boys?
Yeah, he said it. I'm sure somebody put there's an interview saying that my time's come to an end afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm sure something came up.
It's
Well,
effectively like a mini Bobby send off every fixture at Anfield at the moment.
Yeah.
Gene's favorite. I might mute Gene on this one. Asim,
You
I'll
go.
go
I
to
think
you
you
first.
go. Okay, I'm gonna go last.
I'll go to you,
Just to
Asim.
make sure.
I'll go to you, Asim. These are the games. Before I go to you, these are the games that I expect Thiago to be fit for, the big games. But it is few and far between. He did come back today, brilliant in possession, lovely footballer. I've always said it. If only he can keep fit. I think next season, the role that we saw him play today, I think it's the role that is perfectly tailor-made for him next season. And I think I heard somewhere, Gene, music to your ears, that there has been a contract offer for Thiago Alcantara, an extension of 2 years. So let's just see. I think he can play football till 35.
Zach's giving him 6.5. Come on.
If we give him the game time, like we did today, then yeah, he's got another 2-3 years. But for me, 6.5. I thought he was very good.
You gave him a 6.5.
Thiago, I thought he was good. I think
you
that's for him.
What'd you give him?
7.5 minimum, man.
Wow. Well, yeah, but the extra 1.5 rating from Gene, that's just his loving in it with him. That's what it is.
That love tax, isn't it?
Yeah, come on, man. The guy comes on and he basically sustained attack. Every time he received the ball, he was calm in possession. The one thing that we majorly lacked, he come on and brought to the side. What else do you want for the guy to do?
When he came on,
6.5, you're having a laugh. You're saying he's like standard average game for him.
When he came on, but Gene, he didn't get a lot of time, did he? He didn't get a lot of time.
Gene's so angry sometimes. Maybe a 7.
Why are you changing now?
No, because Gene makes a valid point. 7. I'll give him a 7.
So he's angry, but his sort of anger is valid, though, yeah?
No, it is. Maybe a 7. No, Thiago just frustrates me. He frustrates me because we need this availability for him. I don't want to be rinse and repeat of what I've said in the previous seasons with Thiago. I just want him to be available. Arsenal have a Thiago today. They win that game. They usher it out. They shut it out. Very clever footballer. Draws fouls, puts in a leg in, gets his yellow card. Arsenal would love to have a player of Thiago's ilk on their subs bench today. They haven't. We've got that, but we are not in
And
that
they were-
position. We're fighting for the title where we can bring in for 15 to 20 to close out the game. Bayern Munich in that season under Hansi Flick, when they cleaned up, they were using Thiago absolutely perfectly. Bring him on, we'll give him 60, 70, bring him off, or bring him on, bring him off. Brilliant. Yeah, okay, 7 for me. Asim?
Yeah, look, I'd give him 7.5. You know, the moment he came on, chest out, received the ball, and he sort of struck the ball down the left side with his outside of his right foot. He thought, you know what, I've missed this. And the composure he has on the ball, he pops it off first time when he needs to. He sort of takes time. He hit a few balls down, straight balls to Nunez and Gakpo as well, and the switch out to Salah. He just gives us so many options. I know the opposition, they cannot press him because they know he's got every single array of type of pass in him. And if you sort of sit off him, and then he starts dictating, proceedings. And I'm so happy, and I agree with you guys. We just have to wrap him up in cotton wool and sort of play him when we really, really need him. I don't want to see Thiago at home to, I don't know, Leicester and Harvey Barnes. So, sorry, I had to get that dig in somewhere. Or Ollie Watkins. But you know what I mean? I don't want to see Thiago in those sort of games. It's these sort of games where the big men, big boys turn up. And he's certainly one of them because he's just a luxury player.
No, that's a fair point. And last but not least, Gene, you can go first again. It is our main man. It is the guy at the helm, Jurgen Klopp. What did you make of him? What did you make of him pre-match? If you saw his pre-match notes, which you wouldn't have, but post-match thoughts and during the game as well, and the flexibility. He did switch it out.
I've not seen any of his pressers before or after the game. I'll be honest. But look, we've always, in terms of, we've given him a lot of crap for not changing it, not tweaking it. We've seen the tweaks today. I was happy that he made that. Substitutions, we couldn't really go against him. Most of the players that we've mentioned, the subs that he's made, they more or less, played decent. They played well. You go into the game you go 2-0 down. Second half, team talk must have worked because they came out on goal, guns blazing. It's probably the best second half performance all season. So all in all, considering everything for the first team selection, again, there's not really much we would have changed, maybe one max. So all in all, I thought Klopp had a decent game. This Klopp, I didn't do much wrong. Bloody hell, Mr. Nerd is harsh, man. 5.5.
6.
Wow.
7.
7, I thought. I'm more of a 7 because I thought that for once.
Look, we made the league leaders, this great Arsenal side who have got a great record against, on the road this season. They've more or less spanked every single team that they've come up against. But I think, who was it? They lost at City at the Emirates, and they lost at Old Trafford. The Old Trafford game, I think they were sort of, for the large parts, the much better side. But we made Arteta practically go into a back five for I don't know how long it was. So you have to give credit. You have to give credit. Harvey is what? You have to give credit to Jurgen Klopp for that. And the way we played at Arsenal, we played City at Anfield this season. It was generally on the counter-attack. We sat in a compact 4-4-2. Today we took it to Arsenal. And you have to give Jurgen Klopp, his flowers for that. Because at the end of the day, he set up the team to go full throttle. And we did.
Yeah.
What's your rating, Asim?
My rating for Klopp today, I'd give him a 7. A good 7. A good 7.
Gene, what did you say?
7.
Yeah, I'll give him a 7.5. I thought
this guy waits for you to give your answer. Me to give his answer. Then he works out what's the best way to give it. That's when he gives his answer. He didn't even think. See, he asked for our ratings first.
Okay. Are we doing the
No. Before you get carried away, Asim, before you start taking over the reins of this channel again, be careful because I haven't given my reasoning. You just bonked,
You don't
bonked,
need your
bonked,
reasoning.
bonked,
You don't
bonked,
need your
bonked,
reasoning.
bonked without letting me have a legitimate reason of
don't.
why I've given Klopp a 7.5. Yeah, mute yourself. I didn't even need to do that. You muted yourself for that. Thank you for that respect that you've shown me there. And you're older than me, TK. Yeah, your buddies at the background. Yeah, that's right. TK. All right, quick one.
Avi, he goes, it's his little one, it's his buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Klopp, he was flexible today. Asim, you've been wanting that for a long time. It could have gone horribly wrong at 2-0, stuck to his guns. We did see something different, the passion, and we know Jurgen loves the crowd, right? We know he loves the reaction. He did switch it up. I'm being kind to him because he has had a lot of slack in the last few weeks, months, even this season, even. He gets a 7.5. There was one comment today, one Twitter handle, was one of my friends, but I've unfollowed him now because he's just moans and full of negativity. He goes, any other manager, Klopp would be sacked. Well, he's not any other manager. He's a special manager. He's got credit in the bank. He's won us a league title after 31 years, so he'll have a lot of credit in the bank. And today, he showed that he is willing to change. If he gets the right personnel in the summer, we go again next season. So 7.5 from me.
That was good. Are we done? Now? Gene, you can put yourself out of mute. Look, you guys told me to, let me just put this on the stream. Last week, Avi, look, I've done a bit of sort of digging. I bought some stats for you guys. The talk was Fabinho. Are we going to give him another chance next year? Gene said, look, he wants him gone, either gone or on the bench. Is that correct? Gene?
Yep, I agree. Yep, that's what I said.
Don't want to be accused of misquoting you. And Avi said, look, no, he deserves a chance. Why? Because he's been an absolute instrumental part of the team and he's a monster in midfield, but he just needs help.
Words in my mouth. I did not say he's a monster. 100%. I didn't use that word.
Last 2-3 years.
Yeah,
that's what he said.
Pivotal.
Yeah,
the Hoover, the cleaner.
Yes, and he needs, I'm trying to put this on the stream, but it's not going up.
Probably a good thing.
Can you see this now?
We can see it. Yeah, we can see it. Oh, sorry. No.
Oh, Avi's taken over.
Here we go.
No, I think you need to.
Will you stop? That's
better. So let's go to Fabinho's. These are his stats, Avi. I think Gene's those.
Just put it full screen. It's fine.
Okay. Gene's come back. Add him to the stream, Avi.
He is added.
He's added, yeah. Okay. Look, these are his stats for this season. Like I said, Avi, I was trying to dig up some stats in previous seasons, but we can't afford that. I'm sorry. So maybe in 6 months' time we can get something. But in terms of his comparison with other general similar midfielders or wingers who have sort of played more than 90 minutes, obviously you'll see some lists going forward where one player is on the list where he's only played around about 180 minutes, so it's not a fair comparison. So I think Curtis Jones, believe it or not, is on one of these lists. But Fabinho in 2022 and 2023, let's see in terms of his defensive duels. His average per 90 are 6.97, and his success rate is 60%. But I did see this in another article where his last season success rate was 61. So in terms of his average per 90, he might not be, coming out with these tackles or, sort of churning them out and winning the ball back. As you know, he's an instrumental part of, the counter press for Liverpool. But when he actually does get involved, his success rate is not bad. And as you can see, the guy, the number one who's at Leeds, Greenwood, his success rate is 61. Yes, he does come out, he just churn out 11.36 average per 90, which is a lot higher than Fabinho's. But in terms of his success rate, it's not a far sort of drop, and compared to last year. Moving on.
Interesting to see McAllister at 48 as well, a player that we've been linked with in the last week or so.
I've checked out McAllister's stats. He's that sort of player, you only really, really, truly sort of appreciate him and realize how good he is in terms of control. He's a bit like, Thiago, and I know Thiago's counter-pressing and progressive passes are a lot higher than McAllister over the season. But what I mean by that is he's good. He's probably gives a 7 out of 10 in every department in terms of ball recoveries, He can sort of progress the ball. He can receive the ball in the half turn. So he does generate a lot of control on the team. But in terms of when you sort of translate that into stats, sometimes that doesn't come out. And McAllister is one of them where you see his stats, you think, are we buying a special player here? But if a player can do a sort of churn out a 7 out of 10 in every single department, generally speaking, you do have a good player. So let's go to passes. Liverpool do generally have a lot of the ball. Yes, they do give up possession, at times this season, likes of City, the likes of Arsenal away, even though we were slightly better compared to the City game at Anfield and away from home. But his pass accuracy, again, 90% compared to someone like Rodri, it's not far off. But the problem is with Fabinho is his average per 90 in terms of passes is not great. Kante, who has not, probably hardly played, Declan Rice, Curtis Jones, average per 90 is 53.03, Avi. Harvey Elliott, there's a lot of players there that are from Liverpool are on the sort of top 20 or top 30, top 30 on that list. But where
is the average per night is how many touches they have per game?
Passes
they have per game, right?
Per game.
Okay.
What this
Can
is
you read?
The reason why he's probably really fallen short is how are you supposed to really, have that pass rate up when you don't have the ball enough? Liverpool have been losing the ball a lot more in the final third, in the middle, and in transitions. So if Fabinho's not getting, sort of passes, it's because probably we don't have it. So, I'll be interested to see how many times Liverpool have lost. And this is probably a reason why we've seen Liverpool concede chances. I think we're in the top, bottom three, I think, when it comes to conceding chances. So we're conceding chances, we're giving up ball possession a lot more. So again, Avi, this sort of backs up your comment, argument here, where Fabinho's accuracy, when he has it, is still up with the best. You see it.
The one star.
Asim, 1 second, Avi. Yeah. My biggest issue with Fabinho, Asim, it's the amount of times that he gets. Sorry, it's the amount. Thank you. It's the amount of times players walk past him. I don't know if you've got stats for that. I don't know if Duels covers that sort. It's the amount of ease it takes for the opposition to go past him. When he's your number 6, he has to be able to. There's so many the aerial duels. If you don't know if you've got a stat where counter pressing recoveries.
This is we can go to counter press recoveries, which is I again we don't have the benefit of last season's stats. But someone like Bajcetic to be on top of Fabinho in terms of his...
That's a big problem, Asim.
That's a big problem.
You've got Coyote and Callback and James Ward-Prowse in that sort of thingy. This is the type of issue that I've got with Fabinho, where he gets bypassed too easily. His counter-pressing recoveries are not great for a number 6. He should be a lot higher than what he is, especially when he's our lone 6. We expect more from him.
Avi, this is where this sort of thing backs up Gene, where he is the main cog in this team to win the ball back. When we lose it, he needs to be on it. And in the previous sort of 3-4 months, how many times have we seen sort of Klopp animated, towards Fabinho? And this is probably the main reason why when we lose it, and how many times have Jurgen Klopp talked about this sort of belief, and when you're sort of hesitant in the press, you're not going to, on most occasions, you're not going to win it. But the problem with Fabinho is as he's sort of defending himself. So if you're 10 yards away from the ball, how can you win it? It doesn't matter who you are. So that's why he's been sort of sitting off at times. And this is the reason why it's probably reflected on his counter-pressing recoveries. If he's not engaging, it's going to reflect on, his stats, isn't it? So this is probably one area where Gene is backed up in. His counter-pressing recoveries are not good enough. And for a fact of a 18 or 19-year-old kid being ahead of him in 35th position, who's just come into the team, is not a good sign. Moving on, general recoveries. And they split these recoveries in terms of interceptions, counter press, or just general, duel win or aerial duel. But his general recoveries, again, not great. Look at Rodri. Average per 90, he's doing around about 3-4 recoveries per game. And that might not seem a lot, but over 90 minutes and how these stats are, it is quite a lot, Avi. So look, I don't know what the success rate of his recoveries are whenever he does engage. How many times does he come out as a winner? But it's still 24th. I won't say it's not disastrous by any stretch. But 24 for a guy who's known to be winning the ball back for Liverpool, who's generally, involved in the most tackles, most aerial duels, most ground duels for Liverpool, you expect Liverpool, Fabinho to be higher in that list.
And especially this season, the way teams have come at us this season, you'd expect that number to be a little bit higher than 9.59.
Not just, I mean, not just 9.5. The numbers. Just look, we expect. Is there any, like, I want to see Fabinho in these type of starts at least to be in the top 10 in the league. And Asim, we not expecting him to be in the top. Look, progressive runs. I'm not expecting him to be in the top 10.
100%.
Fair play. I don't have an issue with that. No issue. But it's like you said, the recoveries. It's that counter presses. It's them sort of areas that he should be in at least the top 10, 15. This man sat in 25th position with the likes of James Ward-Prowse and some of these players. I'm sorry, but that's just not good enough.
Yeah, and this next graphic highlights the fact that Liverpool don't have a progressive midfielder anymore. When they got rid of, Gini Wijnaldum, we don't have anyone to carry the ball, and this is where maybe Curtis Jones does get a looking into the team. He can carry it. He does go missing at times, or maybe with the maturity in his game, he does have a role in this, Liverpool side. And although I'm not his biggest fan, like I said, he's got all the ability on the ball, especially against a low block. But Fabinho being in 108th position, guys, I'm not surprised with that. But when he was really good, what's that goal against United, the season where Salah took his top off? I think Mane scored the first goal.
No, that was a 3-1. That was a 3-1 game. That one.
Was it the 3-1 where
he scored two as well? Yeah.
Yeah, where he sort of bypassed two midfielders with a little chip into midfield, and he ran onto it.
Yeah.
And he popped off the ball to Mane. I don't see that. Maybe that's a confidence thing.
But I'm not worried about his progressive runs as long as the ones either side of him can be the ball carriers, can be the progressive ones. But right now, this season, we haven't had that because Henderson hasn't been progressive. I would have loved to have seen how progressive Henderson was here. Asim, maybe next time.
Look, Damien makes a comment that I completely agree with. Look, he's surrounded by the likes of Kante and Jorginho. That's kind of where he is at the minute. Look, Kante and Jorginho, where are they right now? They're probably going to move on. Let's face the music. Kante, Jorginho's just left Chelsea. Kante's most likely going to get moved on. So it just goes to show, is it time for Fabinho to get moved on? He's around them sort of players in that sort of position.
Avi?
No, I agree. I mean, look.
And again, progressive passes. He's not. Look, this is the problem. But again, it's not probably his role, especially in a deep lining lone six. This job for Liverpool is all about Thiago. Pass it to Thiago, and But the thing is, I want to see that sort of fluidity between Thiago and Fabinho when they do play together. And again, maybe it's because of a confidence issue. How many times do we see when they were really in their prime, where they sometimes used to take it in turns to really attract the opposition, where one would really go deep and the other one would go into the sort of halfway line. But, Fabinho, again, doesn't really have that confidence at the moment, because when you do drop into the halfway line, you're surrounded by traffic.
And without going into last season stats, I bet you his numbers were way higher than what we're seeing here, 4.8. Because last season he was progressive with the ball in terms of his passing. He was more forward thinking. This season it's more sort of safety, or you're losing possession. And the players around him, that's quite damning numbers. I mean, I know Basuma, has been out of sorts at Tottenham, but the rest of the players I can't even recognize, to be honest.
Yeah, but it just shows you how progressive Enzo Fernandez is, and he's one player that we would have loved. But this is recoveries, and someone asked in the comments, I think it was Damien, saying what do you class as a recovery? But there you see either a positioning, a recovery, counter pressing, interception, and sliding tackle. But this may be sort of be a indictment of our problems at the moment in midfield, guys, where if you see those blue interceptions and general sort of scattergun, heat map, it shows you how far our midfield, and especially Fabinho, has been stretched in order to try to win the ball. There's not a lot of sliding tackles, which probably shows you where, look, good players don't need to go and sort of, put their ass on the field, but unless they're really, really desperate. But these interceptions and general recoveries are all over the pitch, from right back, left back, in the central positions. It just shows you that, one, the responsibility that Liverpool have on this player, and how sort of stretched we've been in terms of trying to win that ball back. And although there have been so many times, as this graphic shows, where Fabinho has won the ball, and it's sort of, when he does engage, his sort of percentage and accuracy levels are still up there amongst the best. But when he's fighting a lone battle at times in midfield, it's sometimes just very, very unfair on him.
Asim, is that three sliding tackles all season?
In terms
Yeah, I
of,
can only see 3 purple ones too.
yeah, in terms of in terms.
I'm not
of,
saying that you should do a lot more sliding. Don't get me wrong, but with all due respect, I'd like to see somebody else's stats, how many slide tackles they've done this season, because 3 slide tackles only all season, 30 games gone from your number 6. Look, I'm not advocating that you should do a lot more slides again, but come on, man, I want to see a lot more aggression.
Yeah, but look, if you're about 10 yards away from the ball, how could you slide tackle?
But generally speaking, come on.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're 100%.
There's definitely ways you can say there's been a massive drop off, because look, last season against Villarreal at home in the Champions League semi-final, there were 3 slide tackles that someone put a video up of, like, where's this Fabinho gone? So it's 100% there's been a drop off, but I don't think it's been a massive drop off in compared to previous seasons. There has been a drop off, but maybe that's little bit of that drop off of, like, an inch here and there has been significant in the way we set up.
Yeah, and this season, guys, our high line has not been so as high in previous seasons. So when you drop, you're not going to squeeze teams as like we were used to. So we have to win the ball in the final and our own third if we're letting big teams, especially, thinking. But generally speaking, our line has been around about 3 or 4 yards deeper. And although that might not seem, a really big sort of chunk in terms of how deep you are, but for Liverpool to sit off 3, 4, or 5 yards deeper, I think it's really, really what's the word? Damning in terms of how they play. But yeah, I think this is just another breakdown of how many or what types of recoveries he makes, and a chunk of them is in the central third. So he's holding his position a lot, but again, his own third and final third is not a lot. Liverpool in transitions, when they're in attacking or defensive transitions, have not been great. Again, in terms of his chunk of his counter pressing, yes, he's a deep lying midfielder. He's going to make all those recoveries, generally speaking, in the center. But I don't know. I think if you want a conclusion from me, yes, there's been a big drop off in terms of his energy, in terms of his sort of confidence. But having players like Harvey Elliott has meant there's been a massive extra responsibility on Fabinho's shoulders. And, there's a stat from Exceeding Puns, played more games than an average 35-year-old. He was a 34-year-old before the season. Now that stat is changed to a 35-year-old. So generally speaking, we have a midfielder who does not have a lot of juice in his legs. And that now begs the question, do we keep or do we sell?
I think it's a hard one. I mean, if there's a sizable offer that comes in the summer, you definitely have to consider it. I mean, what's the going rate for a Fabinho these days? Is that 20, 25 million? I'm not sure.
Avi, how many midfielders are you going to get rid of? That my biggest issue is how many are you going to sell? Thiago will go onto his final year. I don't know if he's going to sign a new contract. You can't completely decimate this midfield. That's if Fabinho goes, you need a minimum 4. So are we really going to do that? Probably not. We're probably going to keep him for at least a season. I think fair play. Look, I've gone to town on Fabinho. Everybody knows that. Yeah, but I think keep him, give him another season. Let him stay for another season. As long as he's not the starter, I'm good with it. As long as he doesn't start.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he has got enough credit for him to be given another year, and then we'll assess. Because look, he's 29. He's going to be 30 in October, and then we'll assess next summer.
Okay, boy, we've been on here for 1 hour and 48 minutes.
This is probably our longest show,
I think this was our longest show. It was our longest.
But look, today was all about we're a lot more positive and a lot more jolly than we have been in the past sort of 2-3 months. It has been a long old slog, but today, we came out of it, out of the end of the game like a little bit more positive. It was a good performance second half. We saw that there was fight, there was passion. Klopp has got his troops. They do want to work for him and they do want to play for him. We know what's missing, and hopefully we'll address that. But look, our next game a week on Monday against Leeds, we get to rest, and hopefully we pick up. We get to pick up 3 points because we need a win. We haven't had that since the United game.
Yeah. Gene?
No, I agree with everything Avi said. I don't know why, but yeah, sort of agree with him. We go again against Leeds. And I think the most important thing was we saw the old sort of Liverpool in the second half. I think that's given us a lot of confidence. That there is legs still there. There are players still there. I don't know if I was a tad harsh last week, saying that Klopp has lost their sort of dressing room, with some of the players. And I saw a video, with the way Trent celebrated for the second goal and the way he picked up the ball and carried the ball to the centre circle. That gives me the belief that, look, we do have that. I just want us to, some sort of consistency over the next 9 games. And, with Diaz coming back, Thiago back now, let's try and put just some sort of run together. Then at least for next season, we go into next season with some confidence, saying that, we go again.
And we want to go into next season with 5,000 subscribers, I should say. 5,000 views would be even better. But we want to carry some momentum as a channel. And I get always bombarded with the guys at the backstage saying, I don't say it enough, but please, guys, whoever's in the house watches the show later on, we're trying our best. It's a race to 5K. So please smash a like, drop a comment, and provide any sort of feedback. If you're going to have a go at Avi, or even have a go at Chino, even me, then please
have a go at Avi. We welcome that.
He likes it. As his caption name says, never give up. But that's, I think, sums up Liverpool. Never give up attitude today. And there is hope. All this manager needs now is just some backing this summer. And hopefully, I have no doubt we will be back. Thank you very much for everyone tuning in, and we shall catch you throughout the week. Any plans for the Across the Pond, Avi? You want to update us on what's happening?
Yeah, I'll be in LA on Wednesday, so if there's any subscribers from LA wants to grab a drink or a bite to eat, I'm available. Listen, you should be privileged that I'm even
living a high life, yeah?
You should be privileged that. So hopefully we've got a show on Thursday, I believe, boys. Maybe with someone. We'll be back on Thursday. Friday Across the Pond should be back, and then obviously we roll on to our Red Zone on Sunday, and then Monday we've got a post-match after the Leeds game.
Brilliant. We look forward to that. Okay, guys, have a good night. That was the Red Zone.
Take care, lads.